I want to remind you that we are about to lose a year. It's finished. It's gone. And I want to leave a few thoughts with you and also give you a few thoughts to go forward. I want to speak to you for a few minutes on redeeming time. I want to focus on the 10 keys to maximizing and redeeming time. Please write this statement down. It may be a good place to start. And that is, the most common gift that God ever gave any human is time. And when I use the word common, I'm referring to the fact that all humans on earth, the only thing that we are given that is common to everyone is time. All of us are different heights, different weights, different colors, pigmentation, different economic strata, different families from different ethnic backgrounds. We are from different cultures. But one thing we all have in common, and I'm talking about 7.2 billion people on earth, have the same common commodity, and that's time. Why is that so important? Because of the next statement, and that is, what you are and what you become depends on how you use your time. You and I have the same amount of time. The billionaire and the beggar both have 24 hours every day. The old and the young, the black and the white, the Indian and the Asian, are all given the same amount of time every day. So really, point number 3 becomes very logical, and that is, time cannot be stopped, but humans can control it. You cannot stop a day. You cannot stop an hour. They have no respect for you. But you can control how it will be used. Which means that even though time is unstoppable, it is controllable. And what you do with it determines who you become. Can you honestly say to yourself that you used 2013 effectively? I think about time a lot, because time is life. And every time a year passes, you are basically measuring time. Because a year is the passing of time in our cultures. And an opportunity to redefine your priorities is why New Year's come. Let me ask you to make a note of a couple of suggestions I want to make. First of all, a new year is an opportunity to refine your purpose, to go back and check it. Secondly, a new year is an opportunity to redefine your life's vision, to see if you are still on course or if you need to adjust. Thirdly, a new year is an opportunity to reestablish worthwhile goals. And I use the term worthwhile because some of our goals may not be worth pursuing anymore. And fourthly, a new year is an opportunity for you to bury the past and move into a new future. I love New Year's Day because the very word new means that there was an old one somewhere. In other words, time is a blessing or a curse depending on how you manage it. A couple of things about time. Time is life. If I ask you, how old are you? What I'm asking you is, what is your life? And you would say, my life is 80 years old, or 30 years old, or 15. We measure life in terms of time. We define life by time. Life is measured by time because life is determined by what we do with time. Life is lived out in time. Life is qualified by time. Life is also the passing of time. What have you become is totally dependent on how you use time. Life is also stopped by time. When you die, time stops. When you die, you move out of time into what they call eternity. In essence, death is life leaving time. So we are about to cross into another period of what we call time. We call it a new year. And time is temporary, but life is eternal. We were put in time to live a portion of life. And here's what I discovered about time. What is time? Time is an interruption in eternity. Time is also defined in my book as a small measure of eternity. Time is a piece of eternity. Time is a slice of forever with a beginning and an end. Time is the limited period during which an action or a process exists or takes place. In other words, time is a measure of space. Time itself has its own power. I was thinking about this last night when I read Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and you might want to read that with me. Verse 10, it says, I have seen the burden God has placed on all men. He has made everything beautiful in what? In its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, that they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. This statement is loaded, and I don't want to touch much of it, but I just want to make sure you understand the word beautiful. The word beautiful there is the Hebrew word that means mature, which means that God matures everything in its time. So there's a time for maturity. In other words, God created time, but he doesn't live in it. And therefore, when God speaks to us, we got to be careful. God lives in forever, but he placed us in time. He designed time to make life easier for us. God created time to give a piece of eternity a measure, and he put us in it. And God created time for us to live in it so that we could experience relief from eternity. I mentioned this some time ago, and I'll say it again. If you lived in eternity, it's a tough place to live. I used to wonder why God told Adam, don't touch the tree of life. And when Adam sinned, the first thing God did was kicked him out of the garden, and he put a flaming sword with cherubim, and the Bible says, to protect the tree of life. If Adam had gotten to that tree after he had sinned, we would be without hope. Because if you make a mistake in eternity, it's an eternal mistake. I thank God for time. Time is a relief. Time is good news. Look at Genesis 1:14. It tells you when God created time. It says, and God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark what? Seasons and days and years. So God created time by literally designing the universe to keep time. Many scientists interpret the universe as a big clock, and they say that someone must have wound it up. They try to explain that there must have been a creator because the universe is running with such precision that the planets not only are revolving around stars, but they don't clash into each other. Someone seemed to have set this in motion. And God had designed all of that so that they can be measured for days and years. In other words, God says in verse 18, this is good. Everybody say time is good.